Coffee's what gets us going, so if you can make getting coffee first thing in the morning easier, it seems to help the rest of the day go smoother too. I was intrigued by the premise of the Hamilton Beach one-press programmable dispensing drip coffee maker with 12-cup internal brew pot and removable water reservoir, since it offers a few truly different features than some other standard coffee makers.
In this review, I'll show you what it's like to use, how easy it is, or spoiler alert, how ridiculous it is to program, what the dispensing feature is like, as well as whether the internal brew pot is helpful or just trouble to deal with. I'll wrap things up with the pros and the cons and let you know if I can recommend this coffee machine for you.
When you see this coffee maker for the first time, there's a few parts that are going to seem unfamiliar, but only because of the unusual dispensing design. There's the main body of the machine, a removable water tank, and the front part of the machine comes out. It holds the internal brew pot and the special lid with a metal straw that sucks up the coffee for the automatic dispenser. Under the top is a basket-style coffee filter holder. To use the programming feature, you're going to want to get this set up right away.
I'm going to say you will definitely want the manual for this process. It's not intuitive to program this machine in any way.
The setting buttons look kind of all the same. There will be a lot of pressing and holding what looks like the same button over and over again and waiting for certain things to illuminate.
If you ask me, this is a really frustrating and maddening way to operate the system. Now, hilariously, while we were able to program the initial brew time for 5:30 in the morning, I was never able to adjust it. I tried unplugging the machine and plugging it back in again, but after a short time unplugged, the programming was still there, which I guess is great if you want to move it quickly, but even following the instructions in the manual, I was unable to get the wake-up time to change.
Eventually, I unplugged it for longer, about 2 minutes, and that seemed to reset it. Now, you have to begin the programming process right away once you plug it back in, or it'll lock itself in. Again, this is frustrating and silly. To make a fresh pot of coffee, remove and fill the water reservoir. Measurements on the side make it easy. Replace the reservoir and make sure the pot and the dispenser are locked into place. Put your ground coffee in a paper or reusable filter in the top of the machine and close the lid. If you're not using the programming feature, which I recommend maybe you don't try to if you don't need to, you can simply brew a fresh pot by pressing the power button on the front. The time to brew is going to vary based on how much water you use, but for me, I made about a 10-cup pot in about 10 minutes.
One oddity about this is that you can't dispense any coffee until the full process is complete, despite the fact there's no caraffe to pull out and potentially spill or dribble with. The pump is not going to work until the brewing process is final. I find this a bit frustrating since sometimes you want a cup before the whole pot's ready.
When it's finished, a little light will come on above the power. That's your signal that it's ready. Push the dispenser with the side of your mug to fill. The pump will make a low whirring noise, but otherwise it fills the cup fairly quickly. As soon as you pull the cup away from the lever, it stops right away with a minimum of drips. The machine can accommodate pretty much all sizes of cups and travel mugs up to about 7 inches tall. There's a small window in the front of the machine under the dispenser, which technically allows you to see how much coffee is still in there. But since there's no light filtering in here and coffee is inherently black, it's actually quite difficult to see clearly. The water temperature at brewing isn't disclosed in the manual or online that I could find. I checked the temperature of the coffee as it came out of the dispenser, and I found that it was a piping hot 168 Fahrenheit or 71 Celsius. You can keep your coffee in the sealed carafe hot for anywhere from 1 to 4 hours, or just turn it off if you prefer. I found it kept the coffee really hot for hours, and the fact the carafe is largely enclosed and sealed seemed to me to keep the coffee much fresher than using a traditional pot.
The cleanup process is where this machine loses a bunch of points for me as well.
The glass coffee carafe or pot with lid and the dispensing straw need to be hand washed and dried. The filter basket and the water reservoir, though, are both dishwasher safe.
This is either a big hassle or no problem, depending on your cleaning preferences. I personally prefer that everything can go in the dishwasher for a more thorough cleaning, so the fact I have to hand wash the carafe every single day is a bit more work than I would want it to be.
Overall, there are things I really love about this machine and some things I think need to change if there's going to be a generation 2.
Let's start with what makes it great. It brews excellent coffee and it keeps it hot and fresh for hours. For a machine that holds up to 12 cups of water, it has a relatively narrow footprint, and the removable water reservoir makes it super easy to refill. I found the coffee to be plenty hot enough for me, and I also appreciated that I could keep the carafe hot for up to 4 hours. On the downside, I'm pretty disappointed disappointed the pot and the straw are not dishwasher safe. If this machine were not on loan to me for this review, I would totally have tested it out just to see, but as it is, I didn't want to potentially break the pot. The other massive detractor here is the absolutely ridiculous programming settings. Hamilton Beach should really make this a little bit easier and more intuitive. In my review period, I didn't have much need to use the program timer, so after that initial setup, I didn't bother with it, but I know others out there are going to be really put off by this. It might even make you rethink whether or not you're going to purchase this machine. I personally would also love to understand the logic between not being able to get a cup of coffee while the rest of the pot is brewing.
Despite these downsides, I actually enjoyed my time with the Hamilton Beach one-press dispensing coffee maker, and I think as long as you're clear on what you're getting and what you're not, this will be a pretty good machine for you since it does its job well.
The Hamilton Beach one-press programmable dispensing drip coffee maker sells for about $99 or $149 Canadian, and you can find it, as I did, on Amazon. Now, if the nightmare of programming this one seems like more than you can handle before coffee, check out this Cuisinart coffee maker that I've had for about a decade and still love, or see what this Ninja specialty coffee maker can do with both coffee and pods right now.